Kia ora guys and welcome back to the Black Jersey. My name's Max, I'm the host over here at this channel, and a big thank you to my patrons before we head into my penultimate video for this YouTube channel before the Rugby World Cup starts. Those who have seen a few of my podcasts with the likes of the SA Rugby Oak, the Rugby Centre, Blissful Rugby HQ, Bok Memes, Scrumbags and the Rugby Punted, you've seen a few of my thoughts throughout the last few weeks on how the tournament is going to go, and now I will finally share my predictions on how the 2023 Rugby World Cup is going to go before the tournament. We're going to get straight into Pool A and we're going to go through the list of fixtures as we discuss the predictions I've got for the tournament, and the opening match of the World Cup is France versus the All Blacks. There are a lot of injuries for both teams, and the big thing for the All Blacks is that the injuries are up front in the forwards. France may just have Dante out temporarily, they may have Willems gone, they may have Intermac gone, but Jalabert and Moefana have been part of this French system for a long time. I don't think they're going to have the issues with cohesion that others have suspected they're going to have. Willems tends to get subbed off around 45 to 50 minutes as well, so I'm sure Romain Taufifenua and Bastien Chalureau will cover him pretty well. France, I think, are going to beat the All Blacks to open up the 2023 Rugby World Cup, and from there, while I do think these two teams are probably the only teams that actually have a safe bet of getting out of the pool stage, it's going to be a bit of a nice rest for France as well. Their final game of the pool stage will be against Italy. They get some time to chill out, whereas the All Blacks have Italy during the middle of the pool stage. Italy are a team that we can't underestimate, but ultimately Tommaso Allen at fullback doesn't have a lot of experience there. Onge Capuozzo doesn't really have much of a good kicking game, whereas their tight five are still very young, they're still maturing. I think Italy's promise will start showing itself after this World Cup, and they will come third, though both these teams will have to put them away. Now that we can see my prediction for the Pool A rankings, I do think Uruguay are going to beat Namibia as well. Uruguay are currently ranked higher in the world than Namibia. They showed some promise last time getting that win over Fiji, and of course Namibia also have Alistair Coetzee as the head coach, and he doesn't exactly have the best of records international level in comparison to club level, so I do think Alistair Coetzee probably wasn't the right man for the job for Namibia. So I think Namibia will be 5th, Uruguay will be 4th, Italy 3rd, the All Blacks 2nd, and France will be 1st in the pool. As I said earlier, France and the All Blacks are the only teams I think who actually have a decent shot of getting out of the pool. I am completely open to being completely wrong on all the other pools because, as I've said in a previous video, the draw is a farce. Ireland are the first ranked team in the world, and South Africa and Scotland are also in the top 5, yet they are all in the same pool together. I'm completely open to Pool B being the pool stage in which every single team competing in the pool goes with a loss during the pool stage. I don't want to predict any draws either, but this would probably be the pool where a draw is going to show up. Ireland's do get quite a distinct advantage though. They start off with Romania while South Africa have a huge pulsating match against Scotland to start things off. Ireland then will gradually build against Tonga, probably protects Johnny Sexton as Tonga will deliver a few injuries throughout this pool stage, and I'm predicting Tonga to be a bit of a kingmaker during this pool stage as well, due to the fact that points differential will become such a huge talking point for this pool stage. South Africa will then play Ireland straight after Romania. They're only going to be getting a 6-day turnaround, whereas the Irish, they're going to be getting the full 7-day turnaround, and so that's another distinct advantage the Irish are going to have over there. I think Ireland will be able to beat South Africa. Scotland, unfortunately though, they do have this wee habit of being victims of either their own success or bad luck, and so even if they do beat South Africa, it wouldn't surprise me if they got a bit cocky after beating South Africa and ended up losing to Tonga. I do think Scotland will beat Tonga but lose to South Africa, but if things are the other way around, it honestly wouldn't surprise me considering the history that Scotland have with a bit of inconsistency. This Scottish team though, very mentally tough, just sadly dealing with the fact that draw is a farce. Anyway, South Africa get a bit of a relaxation at the end of the pool stage playing against Tonga, whereas Ireland will play against Scotland to finish off the pool stage. And from there, I'm predicting Ireland to get the job done, get ranked 1st in the pool with South Africa at 2nd. Ireland have beaten South Africa at their own game before. They've rehearsed several moves to take out the box, as have Scotland. The thing is though, if South Africa go for a 7-1 bench split again, or even the 6-2, I'm not 100% sure if Scotland's replacements have enough to do the job. While Xander Fagerson, Richie Gray, all those guys like Dave Cherry for example, they can do the job, Pierre Schoeman can do the job, but once we see people like Ewan Ashman and Scott Cummings coming off the bench, South Africa will have a true opportunity to dominate. Tonga, who I see as the kingmaker for this pool, will sadly also be victims of the fact that the draw is a farce and come fourth, and I think it goes without saying that Romania, who only qualified due to a few rule-breaking activities that Spain got involved with, I think that Romania are sadly going to come fifth. This pool doesn't really give them much opportunity. So Ireland first, South Africa second, Scotland third, Tonga fourth, and Romania fifth, before we get into the first ad break of this video. Now guys, Pool C, this is also the other side of the draw that shows that the draw is a farce. Fiji are the highest ranked team going into this pool stage, but they are only ranked 7th, while the top 4 sides in this pool, Fiji, Australia, Wales, and Georgia, are all exactly next to each other in the world rankings. I do think Georgia are going to be at a distinct advantage due to the fact that they've had the full 4-year cycle with their head coach, whereas all the other 3 teams have changed coaches. The Fijian Drua, as Lockie from Scrumbag said, will be helping Fiji in terms of cohesion, but it's not going to be the same thing that it was for Japan because these are different teams. Japan had a lot of experienced players in 2019. Fiji, aside from the likes of Lavani Botia, don't have a lot of experienced players. Caleb Muntz is being trusted to run the ship from 10, and he's not exactly a proven match-winning goal kicker quite yet. I think the Fijian side we're seeing is an insight into Fiji's future rather than a Fiji team that's going to smash up now after beating England, who are just absolutely terrible. Wales, I do have faith in them. Unlike 2007, Wales will be starting the tournament off against Fiji. They're going to have the opportunity for a hiss and a roar. I've seen a few signs that Wales might be clicking onto something in my analysis videos, and as I also explored in depth, the issues they faced against England in that second test at Twickenham and against South Africa come from very fixable errors that were made by several players who have since been dropped from the squad, such as the likes of Tom Rogers and of course Kieran Hardy at 9. They've only gone for 2 halfbacks. Australia, I'm not 100% sure if they can get the job done over Georgia though. Georgia are well known for having a pretty good scrum. Aussie are starting to look a bit better up front. I want to believe Taniela Tupou that Australia are holding a few things back, but the thing is I've seen no evidence, and it's like a judge who wants to convict a criminal but just doesn't have the evidence to do so. The criminal ends up going free because the judge doesn't have the evidence. I think that Georgia are going to beat Australia and that Wales are going to beat Fiji, and I think throughout this pool, most teams are going to have to use their first choice lineups. It's going to be pretty tough week in, week out, so Portugal will give these teams a lot of reprieve. Crucially, Wales do finish off against Georgia though, so that could have a huge say in how the final staging of the pool rankings go. I do think though Wales have shown the signs. They are looking a lot calmer under Warren Gatland. They've put the financial issues and the internal bullying from the WRU behind them. I have seen the signs that they can attack, as shown in this video over here. I think Wales are going to top the pool. While Australia's structure has changed everything, I've seen no evidence that they're about to click. They have improved, but they haven't shown a sign of being mentally able to win. They're a young team. I think Eddie Jones has given up on 2023 and just setting his eyes on the 2027 World Cup and 2025 Lions Tour. So I've got Wales in first, Georgia in second, Australia third, Fiji in fourth, and Portugal in fifth. Fiji, I do think, have the guts and the mentality to take the wins, but not necessarily the experience, and you cannot write off the guys like Dan Biggar and Nick White from Australia and Wales, who can get those hard jobs done. Anyway, Pool D, bye England. Honestly, dude, I have got no idea why England just couldn't stay patient with Eddie Jones. It may come across as a bit cynical of me to wish them a goodbye from the pool stage, but as I said when Eddie Jones got sacked, mistakes come back to bite you. They're starting off against Argentina. They've had a lot of red and yellow cards dished out their way. They're not going to have Billy Vunipola or Owen Farrell available, and Borthwick to me just doesn't seem like he's 100% sure of his starting lineup. I think Argentina are going to take this first match against England, and from there the pool is theirs to lose. Japan and Chile could also be an interesting opener. Argentina against Samoa, though, could also be interesting. While Michael Leach says Japan's going to win the World Cup, though, I do think England will be able to suffice and beat Japan, get that done during the middle of the pool stage. They'll then have Chile to rest and recover a little bit, but before that, after that, they take on Samoa. Samoa now have a rolling maul. They have club-level cohesion from Moana Pacifica, but unlike the Fiji and Drua, they have a lot of experienced players in their side. Think of the likes of Charlie Faumuina, Fritz Lee, Stephen Luatua, Chris Vui, Michael Ala-Alator, who has been in the Leinster environment for a few years, knows how to win. He's done that with the Crusaders previously, and most importantly, a few Moana Pacifica make up their spine. Irianari and Jonathan Taumatieni are the first choice 9s. They're a great 1-2 punch with Christian Lealiafano as the 10, and of course Danny Tawala, who does normally play at midfield at club level. He is playing a lot of fullback for Manu Samoa. It'll also be nice to see the guys like UJ Sioteni and Neria Formai get a few goes out the back, but most importantly, they're loose forwards. Gosh, I am jealous of that. I think Samoa, I'm going to back up what I said before, are going to beat England, and I think Argentina, to finish off the pool stage, will put away Japan. I think Argentina will top the pool with Samoa in second place. Samoa were only one botched line-out throw away from beating Ireland's B team, for goodness sake. They are a strong team who defied the odds in the rain. They are looking like a winning team with good cohesion, and England, I can't see any inspiration. I see players who look bored, and so I'm predicting them to come third, with Japan in fourth and Chile, sadly, in fifth at their first World Cup. It's okay though, Chile seem to be a long-term project, and I'm excited to see how they go. Now, after the second ad break, we will have a look at the quarterfinal possibilities. Now, based on the pool stage predictions I've got, the quarterfinals should line up as Wales versus Samoa, Ireland versus New Zealand, Argentina versus Georgia, and France versus South Africa. I know, guys, the draws are fast, but we just need to accept it and accept that at least it creates the environment for a very open World Cup. Wales and Samoa, goodness me, I know that Wales aren't very good right now, but I do believe they can click. Samoa will be over the moon at qualifying. A lot of players in that Samoan team from Moana Pacifica, not really getting the best results in Super Rugby, aren't quite used to winning. While they've got a few key figures there like Ala-Alator who are used to it, the majority of their squad, can they do that? They've got a very physical pool stage against Argentina and England. Wales, on the other hand, Wales are battle-hardened, and Warren Gatland makes them good at things that don't necessarily require talent. They're going to be a team who plays with just as much heart as Samoa, and I think Wales will be able to get the job done. Ireland versus the All Blacks as well. Come on, guys. Let's stop underrating the Irish. They have not lost a test since Eden Park last year. While the All Blacks did manage to take that one out, get the fluke, if you can win a 2-test series after being 1-0 down away from home, you can do anything. While the pool stage is going to set Ireland up for a very hard road from here on in, at least they have those first 2 tests of the pool stage to build with. Then they can carry the momentum against South Africa and Scotland into the test against the All Blacks, who might not quite be there ready due to losing to France previously. I think Ireland will finally stop the demons of their quarterfinal problems and finally get the job done. They'll be amped up after 2019. They no longer fear the All Blacks under Andy Farrell. Johnny Sexton will be proud and wanting to get things done for his final World Cup, and they'll want to do this for Cian Healy, who is unavailable due to injury. The All Blacks as well, they've also lacked consistency under Ian Foster. I can see it being a huge problem for them, and with Shannon Frizzell, Brodie Retallick, Tyrell Lomax coming back from injury for these matches, I think could spell trouble, so I'm going to go for Ireland to win this one. Argentina versus Georgia, I don't think I have to make a case here, do I? Los Pumas will be able to do the job. They'll be able to get a few scrum penalties out of the Georgians, who quite like their scrums, and Emiliano Buffelli, I'm sure, will kick a few 3-pointers to win this match for Los Pumas. And France versus South Africa, look, I'm not going to read into South Africa's victory over the All Blacks too much. Before that match, I was thinking South Africa were in genuine danger of having a pool stage exit due to the draw being a farce. France, however, having done it before last year, they know how to beat the Box at their own game, they know how to use Sekou Makalu to cover both possible injuries to the backs and the change to the 6-2 split. They've got that completely sorted. They've got a tough scrum with the likes of Winnie Antonio packing down, Cyril Bai will be back, and most importantly, South Africa don't have a specialist goal kicker. Manie Libbok has so far only had one proper test match with a decent kicking ratio as the key decision maker at 10 for the team. Cheslin Kolbe Faf de Klerk kicking against Tomar Ramos could be a huge problem. I'm not going to back down, feel bullied into saying South Africa are going to win the World Cup. I'm going to back the team whose jersey I've got on right now and say France can beat South Africa. Now, the semi-finals is not necessarily the best look, with Wales possibly against Ireland, Argentina possibly against France, but considering Los Pumas' reputation for being pretty decent giant killers, maybe there is a decent chance. I think Los Pumas will probably have a better chance at beating the French than the All Blacks, due to France having so much energy left over after facing the Springboks and having a narrow win thanks to the boot of Tomar Ramos and their powerful duel in the scrum, with both sides really going at it. Ireland, though, they'll have the same feeling after the All Blacks. I'm expecting the Irish to have quite a lot of injuries by this point, as they haven't had the injuries quite yet, so they could potentially get them at a really bad time. Wales, though, have lacked consistency under Gatland. They haven't developed the need to win in a row all the time, and so Ireland, I think, might do a repeat of England's women's team from last year and make it to the final to play against France, who I think will win. Having played against the Scots, the South Africans, and the All Blacks 3 times in a row, Wales will also probably slow the game down a fair bit. That will have taken just such a huge toll on the Irish by that point, who could well have lost Johnny Sexton as well. I don't want to jinx him or anything, but I think France are going to win. I'm not saying this out of bitterness, I'm not saying this out of bias. I'm a Kiwi who just thinks that teams evolve in cycles, and this is no longer the same French team where you're asking which French team is going to turn up. This is a team that has properly built cohesion over a 4-year period. They know who their first team is, they know who their second team is, and they know who their third team is. If they cannot win a World Cup on home soil, I don't think they will ever win a World Cup in their history, and I think that's how I'm going to sign out on today's video. Once more, a big thank you to my patrons who get to see this video about 18 hours or so in advance or something like that if my maths is on. Make sure to support me over on Instagram and Threads as well. If my Instagram account has got back by this point, having a bit of trouble with that before the World Cup, but hopefully things are going to be all good. Make sure to binge watch all my other videos where I have analysis on the teams ahead of the World Cup as well. This is just me talking to the camera, but most of my videos, proper full-on analysis, and I hope you have the time to spare to give that a go. Cheers for watching, guys. I'm wishing every single team I've discussed in today's video a huge amount of good luck for the World Cup. I hope it's going to be a fantastic tournament, and I will see you then. Cheers for watching from Max.